afternoon. Before we start, I'd like to conduct a quick experiment, if that's okay. Okay, so really quickly, raise up your mobile devices. Freeze. Okay, so for those of you who are holding something up, and some of you even two things up, I'm going to guess that you already had it in your hand, and most likely you're a social media native. For those of you who are not holding up anything, my guess is you're either not a social media native or you are too busy tweeting to notice what I had to say. In either case, what I'd like you to do is be aware for the duration of this presentation of your predisposition towards social media. Because if you're underestimating the power, the pull, and the transformative nature on human interaction of social media, you're likely costing your company money. So not long ago, I attended the Israeli presidential conference called Facing Tomorrow, and one of the guest speakers was Dr. Ruth Westheimer, who first became famous in the mid-'80s after appearing several times on David Letterman, and went on to host several nationally syndicated successful radio and television shows. Commenting on a presentation titled "The New Media," it was really about the growth of social media. She said, "I'm getting more and more worried. When I want to have a relationship, I want to touch you." And as she said this, she grabbed the person next to her on stage to make her point. What she was referring to was her belief that relationships based on social media are a poor replacement for those established based on a personal preference. And even more, she argued that they were actually harmful and that social media encourages the participation in digital over the physical. Now, I was bothered by her comments, which I know are shared by many, likely some of you in the audience today. Sure, it's true that connecting digitally bypasses physical touch, but I contend that for social media natives, digital touch is touch. For them, the digital world is as real as the physical world, and relationships formed in the digital world are as real and trusting as relationships formed in the physical world. As business people, we need to understand that however foreign this might seem to us, social media natives are our customers. Coincidentally, this happens to be the topic of a new movie that just came out last month called Disconnect. Anybody see that? Okay, it's just out. But the movie is about people interacting through social media with dire consequences, of course. And once again, as an easy, misunderstood target, social media is made out to be the villain. Well, I disagree with the movie and Dr. Ruth. Social media natives live in a world where mobile devices are held at the ready and slept with. They're not viewed as these awkward appendages offering this dubious value at a monthly charge. They live in a world where the digital experience is the physical experience. I'm reminded of my 7-year-old nephew, who, when for the first time in his life, he actually saw a real physical deck of cards, he looked at it and said, "Wow, cool, just like on the computer." Now, what he saw in those physical deck of cards was an innovative abstraction of something that until then existed only in the digital world, not the other way around. So we need to realize that to social media natives, reality is a digital-physical continuum. Social media natives have grown up in the world where being online is just being. To social natives, there may be no difference between relationships formed in the digital world and those formed in the physical world. They're comfortable in the digital world and are actually more likely to regard it with trust versus skepticism. In fact, they may even prefer the digital world, where Facebook pages, tweets, status updates, and posts are replacing meetings, newspapers, cold calls, and even love letters, where they can jump in and out of chat rooms at will, where they can connect with more people more frequently and more conveniently than ever. This should not be seen as a degradation in human interaction. Rather, we need to consider connecting through social media as representing an evolution in the way that humans interact. And humans are interacting through social media in huge numbers. This graphic maps Facebook friends connections throughout the world. And this is only a small sampling. There are actually 140 billion of them. There are now more than 1.5 billion social networking users around the world. What that means is there are 1.5 billion people that may be doing business with your competitor if you're not providing them an environment in which they feel comfortable, if you're not communicating with them in their native tongue, and if you're not setting up shop in their digital neighborhood. Now, this trust and comfort that a growing number of people have in the digital world have not gone unnoticed by businesses. The increasing popularity of social media is paving the way for brand new business models. One fascinating new business model is the share economy, which is characterized by the sharing of assets, services, and influence. According to author Rachel Botsman, the currency of this new economy is trust. Social natives and social technologies have been the driving force behind this new economy because they help foster trust between absolute strangers. Trust is the basis of the many peer-to-peer marketplaces that have been funded by micropreneurs around the world. Social natives are extremely comfortable in these marketplaces because they trust in the power of community, where they can check online reviews, likes, and customer satisfaction scores, none of which they are able to do in the physical world. This opens up tremendous opportunities for consumers to experiment with brand new products and services from a wide range of new providers that they never would have looked at before. It also creates tremendous competition for traditional consumer businesses. There's a huge upside potential to this economy based on trust. Forbes estimates that the revenue flowing through the share economy this year alone will be $3.5 billion, growing at 25%. And at that rate, the share economy based on trust becomes a major disruptive economic force. So in closing, I'd like to leave you with these thoughts. Social media natives view the digital world as providing an opportunity to build trusting relationships with individuals and businesses based on the power of community. As business people, we must embrace social media natives or risk losing market share to those who do. We need to make sure that we're doing business where social media natives are spending their time. We need to reject the fearmongers who suggest that social media will lead to the end of meaningful human interaction. Sure, all new innovations have the potential to be misused and exploited, but that doesn't mean we stop innovating. We must think about what our companies should be doing differently to build trust with social natives. We must think about the assets we can leverage within this trust-based share economy to disrupt the markets that we're in. We need to start caring about sharing. Social media natives have grown up in a world where being online is just being, and yes, Dr. Ruth, where digital touch is touch. Thank you very much for your time.